Cacciatore.
Here.
Carberry Montgomery.
Here.
Kroll.
Here.
Rosendahl.
Here.
Please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we pause to orient ourselves to the kind of civic life we're here to practice. Civility, as we understand it, is not politeness, etiquette, or agreement. It's an inner disposition rooted in recognizing the equal human dignity of every person present, including those with whom we sharply disagree. Each of us is responsible for how we speak, how we listen, and how we conduct ourselves. We're not responsible for controlling one another's views, reactions, or conclusions. The space belongs to all of us. We will speak honestly, refrain from demeaning or coercing one another, and remain present even when the conversation is difficult. By holding one another in view as persons rather than obstacles, we sustain the trust that makes shared civic life in Urbandale possible tonight and beyond. And with that, we'll move on to approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, we will move on to presentations. We have a lot of presentations tonight. We will forego item 3.2, recognizing Bruce Bernard. Bruce, unfortunately, was not feeling well tonight and will not be here tonight, so we'll recognize him at a future meeting. Well, we'll start with the proclamation for All Urbandale Reads, and before we start that, I want to recognize our library director, Nicholas Janning, to kick us off. Nicholas?
Okay, thank you, Mayor, members of council. Joined here, Nicholas Janning, Library Director, joined here with Stacy Stanton. She's our Programming and Outreach Manager. We're happy to be here for the National Library Week and All Urbandale Reads proclamation here tonight. So we are currently doing National Library Week, a lot of great things over at the library, and as part of that, we are doing our big reveal tonight from the mayor regarding our All Urbandale Reads title for this year. For those of you unfamiliar with All Urbandale Reads, it's a really great initiative to get everyone in the community reading the same book, joining some of the events and the discussion groups that we have over at the library. So I'll turn it over to Stacy. She will speak just very briefly about some of the things that we have as part of this initiative.
So as Nicholas mentioned, when we want to generate some discussion, we offer 2 book discussions. So we'll have 2 book discussions this year about the All Urbandale Reads, and then we'll also have some programming that we hope will inspire some more discussion. And we're really excited to offer a special collaboration this year that I think the mayor will go into more detail. So stay tuned.
All right, thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Nicholas. All right, with that, we will read the proclamation. Whereas the City of Urbandale and the Urbandale Public Library recognize the importance of fostering connection, lifelong learning, and civic engagement among residents, and whereas National Library Week will be celebrated April 19 through 25, 2026, highlighting the essential role libraries, library professionals, and volunteers play in strengthening communities and promoting access to information. And whereas One Book, One Community programs like All Urbandale Reads have unified cities across the United States by encouraging shared reading experiences and meaningful dialogue. And whereas the Urbandale Library has selected The Soul of Civility by Alexandra Hudson as the 2026 Urbandale Reads title, a thoughtful exploration of civility, character, and the importance of respectful public discourse in building stronger communities. So now, therefore, I, Robert Andwig, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, on behalf of the Urbandale City Council and the Urbandale Public Library, do hereby promote the All Urbandale Reads program and the reading of this excellent book to all Urbandale residents. So that's the book this year. And we do happen to have online, I believe, the author, Alexandra Hudson, to make a few comments too. So Lexi, I'll turn it over to you briefly to make a few comments.
Hi, Mayor Bob, and hi, council and citizens who are joining us this evening, or those of us watch the replay. It's a privilege to be with you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I had some tech difficulties. Okay, excellent. I hope the weather is equally as beautiful in Urbandale as it is here in Indianapolis. It's just a glorious evening, enjoying with my kids at the park behind me. So thrilled to be with you, and I'm so honored that you chose The Soul of Civility to be the All Urbandale Reads this year. And I hope that you can use this book as a canvas to generate a conversation in Urbandale about what an era of multi-dimensional human flourishing might look like, starting with each of you. As I write in The Soul of Civility, the goal is not just to grit our teeth and endure difference. It's actually to flourish, to thrive through it. And I wrote this book to be a handbook for you as local leaders, as citizens, to peacefully coexist and thrive, even when we disagree. Disagreement is inevitable, and it's a given in democracy. But the promise of democracy is that that we can actually thrive through that. And it's been a privilege to work with Bob and to hear his vision, his passion for Urbandale, and for seeing a renaissance, a civic renaissance happen in your community. And I hope that this conversation is really just the beginning. And I'm really excited to be with you. I will be in Urbandale in May for another engagement. I hope to meet many of you then, and then again in September. And so really excited to have this be just the beginning of casting the vision that Bob has for your community. What might a renaissance in our country, in Iowa, in Urbandale look like? But starting with each of us reclaiming a sense of the innate human dignity of every single person we encounter, not just those we like, not just those we agree with, not just those who can do things for us in return, but all people we encounter just by virtue of our shared innate human dignity. That's what civility is, not just mere politeness, not just more niceness and etiquette and manners. Those can be important, but alone they're not enough. We have to get the disposition of civility correct and seeing other people clearly. My book is about the gift of being human in ourselves and others. And it's an antidote, I hope, to this crisis, not of division that we're in, but of dehumanization, where we're not sufficiently appreciating the gift of being human in ourselves or in others. So excited to partner with you as we build something beautiful to serve your community, to serve all of you as local leaders. It's a hard time to be in public service. So let me thank all of you, Bob, and your council for serving right now. It is really hard, where it feels like it's a lose-lose game. You can't please anyone no matter what. And it shouldn't be that way. And so I hope that we can co-create an initiative around this work, around civic renewal, around civility grounded in human dignity, that will serve you not just this year for the book reads year, for the year that you're the few months that you might be going through Soul of Civility, but long term. What will an initiative look like built by you and your community and sustained by you? So that's the vision. That's the goal. I'm honored to play a small part of it. So thank you for choosing the Soul of Civility. I'm honored at serving you. And I can't wait to co-create and build with you. And I can't wait for what is to come. So thanks again, Bob, for inviting me to be with you tonight.
All right. Thank you very much, Lexi. We look forward to it. And as Lexi alluded to, we are going to have a series coming out, and as Stacy said as well. So we're just starting to roll that out. I expect to see a link both, I assume, on the library page and also on the city page on civility. We will have a couple book discussions, some other events, culminating with an event in September that we're just excited to roll out. We're still trying to get it all completely formed up, but it's going to be a nice event and be a good culmination for this year for All Urbandale Reads. So thank you for everyone for being involved, and we look forward to doing it. And please, I hope you can each get a copy of the book and start reading it and be involved in it. So.
I did forget to mention that part. We do have multiple copies at the library for checkout. So that was the one thing I was supposed to tell you. So yes, there are some copies at the library for checkout as well.
All right, great. Thank you, everybody. So, thank you.
And if we could maybe get a
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Right.
Yes.
All right, we will move on to item 3.3, and that is to have the MidAmerican Energy Trees Please Grant Award. And for this, Jan, do you want to come up and introduce this? I'll introduce our library, or excuse me, our Parks and Rec Director, Jan Herkey. Jan? Or Scott Hoke, our Assistant Parks and Rec Director. Scott? Short timer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Scott Hoke with Parks and Recreation. We have a great opportunity again this year through MidAmerica and Trees Please. Mark is here from for MidAmerica. This has been a continuing thing for us for many, many years for MidAmerica to help support trees going back into Urbandale. This year we are planting trees near the new playground out at the Walnut Creek Regional Park. Last year we did lions. This year we're moving to the other side and adding some in there as well too. So we're very excited about it. And actually I think the trees got planted out there this week. So we're very excited. I don't know, Mark, if you wanted to share anything from MidAmerica, you're sure welcome to.
Thank you very much, Scott, and thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. We love to have you participating in this program. We love supporting everything that you do. This is my third or fourth year doing this presentation at this council meeting, and I appreciate every single time coming back and being able to do this. So thank you very much for your continued participation, and we would love to continue supporting all of your programs going forward, too. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. We did the big check photo before the meeting started. But we appreciate MidAmerican's support on this program, so thank you very much, Mark. We appreciate it. All right, we will move on then to the proclamation for Earth Day 2026. Whereas Earth Day was first celebrated in the United States on April 22, 1970, to raise awareness about a wide range of environmental issues and to inspire people to take personal action to address them. And whereas the 56th Earth Day celebration will occur on Wednesday, April 22, 2026. And whereas Urbandale Parks and Recreation Department and the Friends of the Parks Committee have joined together to sponsor Earth Day activities at the Dunlap Park and Arboretum and at Walnut Creek Regional Park. And whereas the Earth Day activities in the community will include park and creek cleanup, tree plantings, pollinator plantings, and removing invasive species. Whereas many local citizens, service clubs, churches, public schools, and other community organizations will join this effort. And whereas in recognition of 2026 Earth Day, the Urbandale's Earth Day cleanup will be held on Wednesday, April 22, 2026 from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Now therefore, I, Robert Andweg, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, on behalf of the Urbandale City Council, the Urbandale Parks and Recreation Department, and the entire community do hereby support the 2026 Earth Day cleanup event. And Scott and Jan, either one, do you want to kind of highlight for everybody what details of what they can get involved in?
Thank you. Again, Scott Hoke with Parks and Recreation. Mr. Mayor, you did mention some of the places that will have activities going tomorrow. Dunlap Park will have a cleanup from the 1 to 3. And again, it's kind of a spring cleanup for us and removing some of the stuff that's coming in the beds. Out at the regional park, just south of the large shelter that's out there, kind of in between the playground and the large shelter, we'll be planting some pollinator pods, really. We've kind of developed them over the last couple of years, but we're putting plugs in. I think we have over 300 plugs that we'll be putting in that area. There's some signage out there that we're trying to support and get some great stuff growing there. And then I always want to mention the single sack challenge, the litter getter single sack challenge. You can stop by Parks and Recreation, grab a bag, grab some gloves, and you just pick a spot that you want to do a pickup. And then we have a dumpster or some trash totes over there that you can bring it back to. We want to encourage people to go out, find a park, find a parking lot, wherever you see some trash, and just grab it on your own. Be safe, stay off the interstate. But other than that, anything is kind of fair game. So again, great support from the Friends of the Park. They'll be at, some of them I think are going to be down at Dunlap helping out there, and we have some groups helping out at the regional park, and we have a few trees going in here and there too. So,
thank you, Scott. And if you see anybody in a yellow shirt, thank them. They're the Friends of the Park. So there's a couple right there and some outside. So they do a great job in our park. So thank you everybody for your volunteerism for that as well. So. Okay, we will then have the Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas the City Council approved ordinance number 2002-15 on August 20, 2002, which created the Urbandale Tree Board as an advisory board to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Whereas trees can serve soil and water, clean the air, and provide comfort in their beauty, color, and shade, and make Urbandale a more pleasant place to live and work. Whereas throughout the dedicated support of MidAmerican Energy Trees Please grant and the Tree Board, the City of Urbandale is recognized as a Tree City USA community. And whereas the Urbandale Tree Board sponsors an annual community tree event to plant trees on public property during the National Arbor Day to ensure a greener, healthier tomorrow. And whereas in recognition of 2026 Arbor Day, the Urbandale Tree Board will sponsor the following tree planting, the 13 trees to be planted in the Walnut Creek Regional Park. Now therefore, I, Robert Andweg, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, on behalf of the City Council, the Urbandale Tree Board, and the entire community, do hereby support Urbandale's 2026 Arbor Day tree planting at Walnut Creek Regional Park in Urbandale. So, thank you again for organizing that, guys. Anything further you want to add on that? You were pretty much already covered it, so. a lot going on. So thank you, everybody, for your support of our parks and planting some trees. All right, we will move on then to a presentation from Bravo. I know Sally Dix, the Executive Director, is in the back. Sally, come on up. We'll give you the floor.
Oh, great. Well, I will just tap dance here for a minute while she gets that all set up. Thank you so much for your time this evening. We are especially grateful to partner with the City of Urbandale, all the great things that you're doing in your community. Your partnership means a lot to the work that we're trying to do in the region. Especially want to thank Councilmember Rosendahl, who serves as Urbandale's representative on the Bravo board. It's very important that we recognize Jan Herkey, who has been such a wonderful partner to our organization. So thank you for everything, Jan. We just love working with you and all the other staff. I also want to point out we have representatives Ruth House, the president of Living History Farms, and Stacy Hooker, the director of community engagement for Living History Farms, are here. And we also have Laurel and Toby Howell, who represent the Filipino America Society as board members of the Filipino America Society. So we're grateful for the opportunity to work with Urbandale-based organizations. And there we are, ready to go. So just a quick reminder, I know there are some new faces and things change, that Bravo has been serving as the region's Arts Council since 2004. Basically, we feel that our job is to make sure that arts and culture are aligned with everything the region is trying to achieve. The model is actually quite simple. We have individual agreements with 16 cities and Polk County, and we leverage the hotel motel taxes that are invested to execute a regional strategy to broadly support arts, culture, and community. This funding makes up 95% of Bravo's annual revenue. And we are intentionally built to rely on this sole revenue stream for two reasons. One is we don't want to compete with the organizations we were formed to support. The second reason is that it costs money to raise money, and the fact that we are able to rely on this money allows us to keep our administrative costs low and make sure that we're pushing the vast majority of the dollars that come in right back out the door. We are governed, as I said, by a board of directors that includes one representative from every community that invests in us. So every decision that is made at our table is made with input from the local communities, and we're grateful for your voice about priorities at the local level. Even though our charge has always been broad, grant making has always been our primary tool for living up to that promise. And Bravo does meet a need for a transparent and best practice regional investment of public funds. We are efficient, we are accountable, and we are impactful. As a reminder, we did not start public investment in the arts. This existed before Bravo. But in the before days, each city was meeting one-on-one with each individual organization. You then had to consider those investments, process the investments, manage the investments, evaluate the investments, and then I'm sorry to tell you, you had to start again the following year. We are able to alleviate a huge amount of that responsibility off of your city, your staff, your council, and your financials. And we are able to allocate those dollars in a very strategic way. I will tell you the alternative to having a single presentation from me would be having a presentation from the 57 nonprofit partners Bravo is currently supporting that report substantial impact on Urbandale residents. So through Bravo, we're able to take all of that and make sure that the investments are made accountably and you are not faced with decisions that are impacting directly your neighbors, your families, and your friends. General operating support grants are the majority of Bravo's annual investments, and this year, as I said, we're investing in 83 organizations that are located in 12 of our 17 28E communities. We recognize that many of these organizations are not well recognized outside of their city, but they do all meet unique needs, and they provide critical pathways for engagement in the arts that is close to home. These vibrant local organizations really are essential to a vibrant region, and they're a critical pathway for us to be able to provide direct investment back into our partner communities. We do, however, understand that Bravo's investment in the major regional organizations is also essential. These are certainly the premier assets that a region really only needs one of in order to provide world-class experiences. I can tell you for a fact that attendees are not primarily motivated by where an organization is located, but we do know that our 28E partners do consider that as part of the value add for your investments. And if Bravo is only to focus on those major regional organizations, it means we would only be able to support organizations located in 3 of our 17 communities. Again, we do understand that those regional investments are critical. They're the most likely to draw a broad audience. They're the most likely to be filling those hotel motel tax buckets, which is why these organizations already get more than 70% of the funding that is coming from Bravo. Our board feels very strongly, though, that this balance between investment in the regional organizations and maintaining support for the local organizations is critically important to our value proposition. Again, Bravo serves as a regional entity. We were simply not designed to track local impact. And I can also tell you that a dollars in, dollars out model is absolutely not going to tell you the value of your investment in our organization. In fact, I can tell you that more than 600,000 Metro residents crossed municipal boundaries last year to engage across the region in the vibrant local offerings supported by Bravo. And for every single one of our 28E partners, resident participation in Bravo-funded organizations closely tracks with community size. Again, though, we do understand that local data is your job. So I want to make sure you understand that Bravo's partnership, we were able to support direct investments in 6 Urbandale organizations, totaling more than $269,000 last year. We also made an additional investment in the Urbandale Community School District of slightly over $7,000 to support Passport to Culture, which is our youth arts access program. I want to make sure you understand, though, Urbandale residents also benefit from investments Bravo's making outside the city of Urbandale. We know that more than 56,000 Urbandale tickets were sold to Urbandale residents to pay for in paid programming last year, and almost 20,000 additional Urbandale participants went to free programs offered by organizations Bravo is supporting. Student engagement was also high, with more than 11,000 Urbandale students accessing programs offered by Bravo-funded organizations. I hope that these numbers clearly show that Bravo's regional investment strategy is directly benefiting residents of the city of Urbandale. We know the legislature is continuing conversations about property tax reform, and we do understand that many cities are facing immense pressure right now, and we do appreciate the need for fiscal accountability. As your community conversations continue, please remember that Bravo has virtually no ability to replace lost hotel motel tax revenue. And the organizations that Bravo supports are already generating the vast majority of their annual funding from other sources. So finding new dollars to backfill any lost support from Bravo is unlikely. This does mean that reductions in investment through Bravo will likely reduce the availability of free, accessible, and youth engagement opportunities for your residents. It will also increase competition for available funds and put increased pressure on Urbandale's staff to allocate dollars effectively. I promise you these organizations will not go away. They just will come to you instead of coming through Bravo. We do take our role as your partner seriously, though. You are not an ATM, and we do not get to just assume continued funding every year without doing our part to support policies that make that possible. The downside of that is we are pretty small, we don't have a lobbyist, and we're not especially influential. However, we did produce a one-page summary that hopefully was in your packet about all the ways that arts and culture are tied to state and regional priorities and what potential cuts would mean. We've also distributed that to the Iowa League of Cities, the Technology Association of Iowa, the Business Council, the Partnership, IEDA. Really, anyone who will make eye contact with me has a copy of that document. And a key point on that document is that the current regional cultural ecosystem is actually generating $31 million in local and state tax revenue. So that's an exceptionally high ROI on public investment, and I think demonstrates that Bravo has efficiently and effectively leveraged your dollars for more than 20 years. I know there's a lot of other things on your agenda, so I will keep it short, but I am happy to take any questions. Again, I want to thank all of you in Urbandale for your continued support, Councilmember Rosendahl for your support at the Bravo table, which takes a lot of extra time, and certainly I want to recognize our cultural partners who are really the ones that bring Bravo's work to life. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Sally. Any questions for Sally?
I just had a little question. The slide that you had about the number of students, I'm assuming that is like across the many school districts that Urbandale kids go to. It was like 11,000 kids, so I'm assuming.
That's directly to the Urbandale Community School District, but
the Urbandale,
yes.
So.
But every single district gets funding for that. So if an Urbandale student is going to another district, they are also getting funding. It's just not captured in that number.
Okay, so, but Yeah, I mean, it'd be a lot higher. Like, I live in the Waukee School District, so my kids are getting funding through you guys through the city of Waukee? Or
Absolutely,
the
through the
Urbandale?
Waukee Community School District.
Okay. A lot of kids.
So, well, my council may find this as a shock, but I was around when Bravo was formed. But Sally says, in all seriousness, they give me a hard time for being around a while, Sally. But I do remember, I remember vividly negotiating the Bravo agreement. It was not easy to do, but it was truly the right thing to do, as Sally alluded to, because there were days where we had 30-odd organizations coming in here, making a pitch for money, just like we do now for our own hotel motel. We had that many more asking for essentially what the Bravo portion is. So this is a very efficient model, a very good model, and it's really expanded arts awareness in the region. So Sally, thank you for everything Bravo's done over the years.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate it.
If I can just quick chime in too,
Yeah.
like having been part of the operating grant review process, very, very detailed, like you get finance documents, you get you're doing it on a rubric for points, and those points directly go into what the awards are made for. So lots of really good oversight with this program to distribute these dollars to. So I've been extremely impressed by the organization and all the work that your staff does.
Thank you. We do take our role as your partner seriously.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. All right, we will move on to Citizens Forum. This is the opportunity to address something that's not on a public hearing for tonight. Would anyone like to address the council on something that's not a part of the agenda as a public hearing? All right, seeing none, then we will move on. Item 5 then is to adopt the minutes. We have 3 meetings to adopt minutes for. First is the April 7 special city council meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Cacciatore,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Second is the April 7 regular meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Cacciatore,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And then lastly is the April 14 lunch and learn.
So moved.
Motion by Cacciatore,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 6 is the consent agenda. There are 15 items for approval.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. We move on then to public hearings. Item 7.1 is our first public hearing. It's a public hearing to consider the operating budget for fiscal year 2026-2027. The public notice for this was published in the April 10, 2026 Des Moines Register, and asked for any objections to that notice as published.
There were none.
Ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And to introduce this is our Finance Director, Nikki Lamb. Nikki?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. This is your favorite day of the year. We get to adopt the next budget. You all have been through this several times. I have it up if you want to put it up. So since we've been through this so many times, I will go through and not read every single line. You all get a copy of this lovely presentation. But mostly just talking about the total costs associated with the city and what it took to get to the budget that is put before you today. The one thing I would point out on this slide is that a daily cost per capita, less than a cup of coffee. So $3.71 per person per day to run the city. So that number actually went down since last year. So that's really awesome. And then the big point, the debt retirement costs, is another one on here that's 40% lower than it has been in the past, and that's because we're continued to pay off all of those bonds that we had outstanding using lost and TIF dollars. So that is down significantly, and we're done paying off all of those bonds. So that's a huge piece for us, but that's why there's such a large decrease there. Our total certified budget that will go to the state is $187 million, and that is an increase of about 4.4 million, which is about 2.4%. So still total, and that includes everything, all of the utilities, all of the capital projects, everything all consolidated. That's what will go to the state. This is that last year, or the third year of the legislative limitations through the original House File 718 and all of the amendments that have happened since then. The math change is going to be a 5-cent deduction in the total levy, but 10 cents of that is on that debt service, again, related to paying off all of the bonds that we have been doing over the last 8 years. But because our taxable growth was lower than the first threshold, we were able to reset to an $8.10 max levy. So we were able to reset that and then just shuffle it downhill. So we still went down. So even though it looks like we went from 778 up to 810, the rest of the levies went down to counter off that. So our net is 5-cent reduction. The next piece is about the residential rollback. We always want to show you what a $100,000 house is. That's a total decrease. Part of that related to the residential rollback went down to 44% from 47%. So they would have had a lesser tax bill just from the residential rollback, but we also decreased 5 cents. So there's a net cumulative decrease of $31 per $100,000 house. We say backfill. This was the last year, the current year that we're in. So the new budget will show 0 for that. That was the 4-year decline from the state rolling that back 25% over 4 years. So the 27 budget has 0. So that represents $198,000 in lost revenue that we will no longer receive. There were no other changes to other consumable rates. Garbage and stormwater did not change. And the 1% franchise fee, which you guys have already approved, that kicks in May. So we'll start this next fiscal year with our first payment for that will be in July. That represents about $500,000 in revenue, but we lose the lost the local option sales tax related to that. So the net residential consumer won't see any difference. It's 1% to 1%, but the city gains a net $450,000. So there's a huge impact by being able to do that. I already talked about this page, the 10-cent levy decrease, and then we're shifting it over the remaining levies. Again, our operational costs, we're people. We provide services. That's what we do. We don't make things. We do build things, fund roads and such, but the people associated with that, in general, we are a people business. So that's about 60% of our operating budget. And those of you that remember this slide, and we'll see it in the chart here, that number is usually about 50%. So transfers in and out, so when we move stuff between lost, it became very relevant this year because there's a ton of money being moved from one fund to the other. So we pulled that out of operational to show what those true operational costs are, because the transfer in and out from debt service and TIF and lost can skew that number quite a bit. So this is pure operations, no transfers, no capital, no debt service. So it's just, and all the prior years have been restated to show that too. So we're right in line, but wanted to explain why it was suddenly 60% and last year it was 49%. This is just a recap of what our levy is going to do. You have seen this several times. A trend of where we have been over this last several years. How we compare to other cities in the metro, we remain solidly in third spot for the lowest of anybody that is over 5,000 population. This is just the immediate surrounding metro cities. This is proposed. Keep in mind most cities are adopting either late last week, this week, or next week because budgets are not due until April 30th. So it is still proposed, but this is what all my cohorts at those entities have reported that they are recommending. Most everybody is not going down this year. Wow. So you have that going for you.
Nikki, can I just make a comment
Sure.
on when you have this page up? So, Pleasant Hill withdrew from DART and their DART levy savings. And if you notice, their
They're going up
rate
60
is
cents.
going up 60 cents because they felt they should take that money and move it from one column to another. So I just wanted to point that out to you folks. I'll make no editorial comments, but that's a substantial increase there and substantial loss of service.
Yep.
Other pieces that went into our budget, we have 3 full-time positions being requested, 1 in police, 1 in HR, and 1 in building maintenance. Again, about 60% of our operating budget is for those staff that we employ. Pension rates didn't change a whole lot, so not anything significant there. The debt service activity, we don't have any bonds being paid off. Like I said, there aren't any eligible for call and early retirement. And building maintenance, that was probably one of the bigger pieces that each department pays into to service our buildings and deal with repairs. Obviously, we have an aging set of buildings, so every year everything gets more expensive. I got a couple roofs coming up, so those did go up just a little bit this last year as well, or for next year. This is our pretty pie chart of for every dollar we spend, what percentage goes into each of the revenues. This is how we're bringing in the revenue sources. No shock, property tax is our bread and butter. That is how we pay for nearly everything. So this just shows how that revenue is coming in for our various sources. Again, you'll get a copy of this. This is just as what percentage of the total everything is. Pretty stable, as you can see. There's just not a ton of fluctuation. The biggest growth change has been in the little purple sliver there of interest. So we had a couple of really nice budget impacts from revenue on interest income, which is great. Other than that, it's starting to stabilize and come down a little bit. So we're a little more conservative this next year, but it's still very positive. And the same piece on the expenditure side in what these are the functional areas that we're required to report on from the state. So each of those things is relatively self-explanatory. The detailed departments are in the full document that make up each of these functions. But this again is how each dollar is spent, what percentage goes to each. You'll see that our debt service number used to be 25%. That is our goal, is to push as much into debt service as we can. And so now it's down to 12% because we've paid off all of those that were long-term. This is just that share of kind of where things are at. This is where that personal services, so that's all of our staffing costs. This one includes transfers. You can see that purple up there of how much impact that transfers can have on the numbers, which is why we pull that out now for operational review to truly have apples to apples of what's actually happening versus seeing those flow through numbers. The taxpayer statements, we've already talked about that through the public hearing on the proposed levy 2 weeks ago, so I won't go into this a lot of detail. This is our website page. We still have all of the calculators, so anybody that has received those statements can see what their specific information is, and like I said, we in the finance department always answer those calls and walk through it individually. So I've had 4 this year now, so but happy to walk through those with any concerned citizen that wants to know how it affects them. And then this was the taxpayer impact statements that David also went through at the proposed tax levy hearing. The net effect of this is what would happen to the average homeowner, what their utility type bills, what the costs related to all of those. The blue ones are items that we control as the city, but the other ones are water and sewer, which we don't control, but they're out-of-pocket costs. So net increase of 2.7% over the prior year. And that is it. I am happy to answer any other questions that you may have.
All right, thank you, Nikki. Any questions from the council for Nikki at this time? None? All right, we are in public hearing on this item. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none then, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve resolution 134-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve resolution 135-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right. Well, again, thank you, David. Thank you, Nikki, and the entire staff. This is the culmination of a lot of work that goes through every year. So I'm going to thank the council as well for being very diligent and going through this and asking some hard questions at the appropriate times and making some hard decisions. So we're on the right track, I think, though. So thank you, everybody, for the hard work on this. All right, we will move on. We have a series, it's the Rose Schroeder Show now. So we'll, item 7.2 is the public hearing to consider the Twin Eagles amendments to the Planned Unit Development Master Plan at 3941 to 4019 100th Street. And the public notice for this is published in the April 3, 2026 Des Moines Register. Any objections to that? Notice is published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And to introduce this is our Community Development Director, Rose Schroeder.
Great. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to amend the PUD master plan for Twin Eagles. We are at 100th Street, right as it turns off of Urbandale, continuing on to the north. There is one existing building here. The request for the PUD amendment is actually threefold. One is related to reducing the front yard setback, which would be from 100th Street. The request is to reduce the required 50-foot down to 40 feet. So that's first part of their request. The second is to add a use, a radio broadcasting station. That was not specified in any of our commercial office or neighborhood commercials. So the current PUD master plan is silent on that. So the request to add that as a permitted use in the PUD. And the third is to make some modifications to the architectural requirements that were originally adopted in that PUD master plan, which we can talk about here in a minute. Let's see if I can keep all my attachments straight tonight. So the first thing I just want to talk about is the request for the use itself, because there's been, a lot of conversation. We've received some correspondence, certainly at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And the applicant, in light of that and in advance of that, actually prepared a statement that said they do not have any intention of constructing a broadcasting tower there. So they have provided that. The Planning Commission actually made that as part of their recommended motion to the City Council. So although the original request didn't explicitly say that, if in fact, depending on the action you take tonight, the way that use would show up in the amended PUD is a radio broadcast station, with the exception that no tower would be permitted. So just for clarification there, that is how we would handle that. I want to show the elevation a little bit. The main variation from what is currently allowed in the original PUD master plan, excuse me, is that there are metal panels. The PUD master plan originally was done in a time period where a lot of our PUDs used a lot of very similar language for building materials. It would talk about traditionally conservative and brick structures, no metal panels. And at the time, that wasn't all that uncommon, because a lot of what many cities were getting at was corrugated metal panels or metal panels that had exposed fasteners. There's lots of different architectural products now. So at any rate, when you are looking at these elevations, this banding is metal, as are actually these brown panels. These are actually made to look like wood, these brown panels, but they are actually metal, all concealed fasteners and a flat roof. So in a nutshell, those are the three things they have asked for. Again, the setback, the use, but again, the recommendation to you from Planning and Zoning Commission is no tower, and modifying the building elevations to still be predominantly brick, but to allow those metal panels. Happy to take any questions, and I know a representative from the project is also present tonight.
Any questions for Rose from the council at this point?
The site would retain the stormwater detention that's there right now, right?
So it will, when fully developed, there will have to be a site plan. I will just note, though, the parking that has been installed actually was originally installed to accommodate a future building at that location as well. So,
Gotcha. So it may not stay right where it is, but it is going to be contemplated at some point on the
has
site.
to be,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions for the council? Okay, we are in public hearing on this item. Is there anyone that would like to address the council on this item? All right, seeing none, then there's a motion to close this public hearing.
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. So then, Rose, just to be clear, the motion would be to approve the amendments to the PUD as recommended by Planning and Zoning. Is that what?
That would be my recommendation. As long as you want it to reflect that no tower can be built there, I would follow the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation.
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Kroll. Any further discussion? If not, please vote. That passes. All right. We'll move on to item 7.3, and that is to consider a public hearing for the public access easement vacation of Lot 61 Oakwood Haven Plat 1 at 4750 86th Street. The public notice for this was published in April 10, 2026, Des Moines Register. Ask if any objections to that notice is published.
There were none.
A motion to open this public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll. Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. Passes. Rose?
All right, this is a request to vacate a previously recorded access easement. So we are at, just zoom out here a little bit for reference, we are at 86th Street. Plum Drive is here. In 2022, when Oakwood Haven Plat 1 was approved and recorded, at the time, of course, the city was looking for how there could be access to, at the time, what was an outlot to provide for future development on that lot. At the time, that access easement was 80 feet in width. That's how it's recorded. Later, fast forwarding to 2025, when we did some replatting there for the future fire station at the time, it was determined that access easement only needed to be 70 feet in width. That easement has already also been recorded. So this action request would vacate the previous 80-foot wide, larger ingress-egress easement, and the 70-foot ingress easement is already in place. So this is essentially vacating and getting rid of the originally recorded instrument. Happy to take any questions.
All right. Questions? This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move approval of resolution 138-2026.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
And move approval of the first reading of ordinance 2026-24.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 7.4 is a public hearing to consider the Days Run West lots 2 and 3, the Square at Days Run Plat 1 amendments to Plan Unit Development Master Plan at 4500 to 4590 128th Street. The public notice for this is published in the April 3, 2026 Des Moines Register. Are there any objections to that notice is published?
There were none.
Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Rose?
All right. So for this request, we are at Days Run West, lots 2 and 3. So we're at the southwest corner of 128th Street and Meredith. So again, these 2 lots immediately at the corner. There's actually 2 items on your agenda tonight related to this property. This is a PUD amendment, which we will talk about, which does require the public hearing. Later in the agenda, under regular planning and zoning items, is actually the site plan for this. So if you don't mind, I think we will kind of talk about it all together, and then happy to answer questions at whatever time is appropriate. So the original request for the PUD amendment is twofold. One is that in this proposal, one building effectively would be built over both lots, used as one zoning lot, one premise, if you will. And 2 prospective tenants, one being a kennel and boarding location, and if there were to be a restaurant. Our zoning code today requires that there is a 200-foot separation between restaurants and kennels and boarding facilities. So it would not be possible to have in this multi-tenant building a restaurant and a kennel both. That separation, by the way, by zoning code is measured property line to property line, so it's not a simple distance within a lot or a premise. So that is the first PUD amendment piece of this, is saying it is okay or it is not okay to have a restaurant within 200 feet of a kennel. So that's the first part of the amendment. The second part is related to architectural requirements. This PUD, I've alluded to this in the earlier PUD amendment, also has very similar language. It's there in your staff report, talking about buildings needing to be predominantly brick, not having a flat roof, not allowing metal panels, and some other text that again is very, very similar to kind of a time period, if you will, of PUDs with similar requirements. So I'm going to show you the elevations here in a moment, but just to kind of orient you. So again, as currently laid out, the proposed kennel is here to the south. You'll notice on the site plan there is some outdoor fenced area. The remainder of the building continuing north. As currently laid out, this north space would be where a likely restaurant would go. There's some outdoor patio space envisioned with the structure as well. Parking around the structure and showing perspective connection back to the west. Much of the stormwater is coming to proposed detention here that they have shown to the south of the building. I did also, in terms of site plan, just want to highlight parking a bit. So one of the sheets here, let's go here. So the parking requirement for the retail and or office tenant spaces that may go in this building would be 3.5 spaces per 1,000. A restaurant is more than that. It's 10 spaces, but we actually don't define anything for a kennel. So we have some discretion in how we can outline that. And all of this to say, with all of that in combination, the parking they have shown here in gray is adequate to serve that, and actually a bit more. But they have also showed how additional parking could fall in line back on the west side of the property, should that be needed, in the future. There is a required landscape buffer, which they're meeting along 128th. Also, we require that any parking surfacing be set back at least 10 feet from any other commercially zoned property, unless it's a contiguous parking lot or they're sharing access. So all of those requirements are also in place. To look at the elevation, so you will notice that it does have a flat roof. Overall, the buildings are 20 feet tall. Some of the parapets get up to 24, a total of 24 feet. The coloration you're seeing here, the combination is like a white and black type brick. Again, with the flat roof, which is where the need for the amendment to those architectural materials comes in. There are representatives from the project here, and I am happy to answer any questions. And again, this first one is on the PUD amendment, so the separation between restaurants and kennels and the architectural materials.
Could we flip back to the potential parking situation?
Mm-hmm.
With the potential future parking, is that an issue that it kind of comes right up to the property line, or is there like a setback that needs to be thought about with that?
Yep, so I think the placeholder for that is a little bit that depending on if or how this other lot would develop would depend on how those connections and how some of those separations. Again, this parking that's being shown here is actually not required at this time. It was, an exercise in trying to determine how and how much more they could potentially fit on the site.
Gotcha.
Rose, this question is obviously before your time that I'm going to ask, but, and I don't know if I asked it when the kennel was here recently, but was there a daycare site plan that we approved on one of these lots?
There was.
Did that expire, or what?
Yep.
What was the status? It looks like you know what I'm talking about.
So you're right. It was well before my time, but there was in fact a site plan for a daycare, and it was approved on this lot, which is not part of the current proposal. I can't tell you the literal expiration date, but I believe you would be accurate in saying it has expired. The little bit interesting piece, because that research piqued my interest too, is that also at the same time it looks like we did a replat of one singular lot, which I don't know the full story on that, but yes, there was a daycare right here in the middle.
And then, so we would have done a notice to surrounding properties for this public hearing.
Yes.
So the strip mall tenants, and no one cared about the removal of the separation between the kennel and...
Right. So city staff didn't receive any comments even prior to planning and zoning on this particular item.
Okay. Thank you.
What's the noise barrier look like between a restaurant and a kennel?
That's a good question, and I'm going to defer to the project applicants on that. I don't know. I would say in at least the way it's preliminary laid out, they are literally on opposite sides of the building. So I know that doesn't really answer your question, but the kennel is here on the south. The restaurant would be up here, and presumably there would be other tenants in kind of in the middle.
Maybe Linda wants to answer that.
So we have certain hours that the kennel will operate.
Linda, if you could just give your name and address for the record.
Sorry, Mayor.
That's right.
Linda Juckett, 1239 Warren Avenue in Cumming. But the dogs will not be out at nighttime. Probably our hours will be 7:30 in the morning, 7 in the morning till 7 at night, 6:30 at night. And then the dogs basically are in the kennel by themselves. I mean, in their, in their hotel rooms by themselves. Because it kind of is a hotel. So they're there by themselves. So we don't want to excite the dogs at night.
Do you anticipate there will be noise carry over to the tenant that is directly to the north?
I wouldn't think any more than the traffic road noise that happens on 128th and Meredith. I would say no. I mean, we have solid fence. It's not chain link or anything like that. It is solid fence, and there's a berm, small berm with trees also located on it. Plus, they're on the far south side. They're not on the west end. They're on the far south side. So, and the outdoor area for the restaurant will be on the north side, front to north side of that building, so.
I don't know, maybe I'm not speaking for you correctly, but I was curious about the building to the immediate north of the kennel. Inside the building, yeah.
That's all inside. They won't have an outside.
Well, the
That's all.
tenant bay,
Pardon me?
the tenant.
Yeah, the tenant, and will they be, how long is it going to be through that wall, I guess is what we were wondering about.
I think that wall's, thank you, Jeff. He's the architect, so I would imagine there'll be extra buffering, with that wall because of the fire code, so.
As a owner of many dachshunds, allowed that can be.
Jeff Raines, Architecture, 8797 Northwest 54th Avenue in Johnston. That wall will be designed as a high sound transmission class wall.
Okay.
We don't have that part of the design done yet, but it will be a double wall or a layered wall, I should say, with a high level of sound resistance. So.
Thank you. I just don't want to set ourselves up to have an empty
and
bay.
Right, and I would think that would be part of the building plan review as well. So.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Kind of a quick.
What do you think, Mayor?
Kind of a quick question, but in the opposite direction. So, because you were saying, like, once business is closed at the kennel, the dogs kind of settle in for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Any concerns with traffic going on at a restaurant that maybe I don't know what the hours of the restaurant would be, but.
Well, we're mostly solid brick, so that would take a lot to get the sound barrier through that. So we have cameras. There'll be cameras, all around the outside of the building. If there's any, altercation or anything, we would certainly call the police and have them come. But I don't anticipate any problem with the dogs.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
I think so. All right, thanks, guys. Rose, I just had one question for you. You mentioned for Rose, I'm sorry, I was going to ask our staff.
Oh, Rose, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Linda. No, I'm just asking from a code standpoint. You mentioned the 200-foot separation. What justification is there for that in the first place? Is there a health justification or anything else that the council should consider in waiving that essentially or not?
That's a fair question, Mayor. If I'm being completely honest, I don't know the 200-foot correlation. It's not something that I have experienced previously, to be perfectly honest with you.
Just was wondering if there's any other correlation that we should consider on that. So, okay.
The one thing I would offer, I think it's a fair question, and I think that we can do some backtracking to see how that originated in the first place. And maybe at some point there was a health code related, I'm not sure, but we can do a little more research and kind of add it to our ongoing list of things to look at, fix up, clean up.
I mean, I would think that dog-related businesses have changed dramatically, much like, tattoo parlors and things like that in the consciousness of the community. So it would seem that it might have made more sense, 20 years ago or more. And now people are like, let's bring our dog everywhere. So
Agreed.
All right, is there anyone else that would like to address this while the public hearing is open? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move approval of Council Letter 8566.
Okay, motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, moving on to item 7.5, and that is a public hearing to amend Chapter 160 of the zoning code for Section 160.67 mobile food units. The public notice for this was published in April 1, 2026, Des Moines Register. Ask any objections to that notice is published.
There were none.
Ask for a motion to open this public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Any discussion? Please vote. That passes. Rose?
Okay, so this proposed amendment to the code section that was cited is really, in my mind, truly is a little bit of a cleanup or a clarification. The predominant thing that this does is ensures that when the city receives a mobile food vendor permit, that the actual owner of record knows. So as you can imagine, there are times where there might be a lease property, and previously it would need, the sign off of the leasee or the business operator at the current location. And so really there may be no way that the actual property owner of record would ever know. Obviously if the lessee sees somebody, coming to their property to set up their mobile food vendor and they have not asked permission, they will be there on site to be able to have that conversation. So this really is just to clean up. Another thing we're also doing is taking out the requirement for kind of the make, model, year of the vehicle and just requiring license plate. It just simplifies things. So in my mind, just cleaning up a few procedural items.
All right. Any questions for Rose on this? This is also a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the council on this? Seeing none, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So move.
Motion by Pody.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move first reading of ordinance 2026-23.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 7.6 is a public hearing to amend various sections of Chapter 160. The public notice for this was published in the April 3, 2026 Des Moines Register. Are there any objections to that notice is published?
There were none.
Motion to open this public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll, second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Rose?
All right, so this council letter actually includes 4 different actions, 4 different ordinances, kind of grouped by subject matter. The first is to amend our definition sections of the zoning code to actually provide a definition of who the zoning administrator is. So the zoning code in various places, the municipal code in general refers to the zoning administrator and what they can and can't do, but it never says who it actually is. So we have worked with city attorney to develop that definition, and so that is the first piece, to create that definition and add it. The second piece in here is related to accessory dwelling units. Last year, as you're well aware, legislative action made ADUs by right essentially in any residential district. And the city has in fact made those amendments, but what we didn't do is take out of the residential districts where they were previously considered as a conditional use permit. So although they're certainly permitted by right in accordance with state law today and our municipal code, we didn't pull those out of the conditional use list in those 4 districts. So that is what number 2 is about. Number 3, also following some legislation last year, providing a standard for review for the Board of Adjustment for considering variances related to practical difficulty in addition to unnecessary hardship, which has been the standard for many years. Our code was silent on that, so just adding, because we talk about unnecessary hardship, making sure that we're adding in the practical difficulty. The language in this piece is straight out of that past legislation, including, that the applicant still has to demonstrate that it's not self-created and that it won't significantly alter the neighborhood. So that's the first part of 3. The second is providing more specific parameters for the notice of public hearings by the Board of Adjustment. We did not previously prescribe how we were notifying surrounding property owners. So we have drafted in here that we will notify them in the same manner as we would for any kind of zoning or any other matter, which is property owners within 200 feet exclusive of right-of-way. So that standard will be the same. It is not called out specially or different by state code, so we can follow that. And then the fourth and final requested change in this section is similar to what we were just talking about in Board of Adjustment public hearing notification. Our conditional use section, public hearing section also had a bit unclear language in how we would be notifying direct mail to surrounding property owners. So again, we're using that same 200-foot standard exclusive of right-of-way that we use for all of our other matters. So those are the four kind of sets of requested changes, many directly related to legislative actions taken last session. Happy to answer any questions.
And we may have more after this session, I think, based on what I've seen, yeah.
Rose, can you explain the distinction between practical difficulty and undue hardship?
I can.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So unnecessary hardship, which is the standard that's been in state code for many years, and Maria, I'm going to look at you to tell me I'm wrong if I am, basically is the standard that the request for a variance couldn't be self-created, that it had to really remove any practical use of the property, any value of the property, et cetera. That's been around for a long time. The practical difficulty, the legislature added the provision for that really only applies to what they call dimensional standards. So these are things like a setback variance. You are asking for relief from a 20-foot setback to a 10-foot, or a certain amount of height to a different amount of height. So it's all numerical things. It doesn't apply across the board. And I think the idea is that it is a lesser standard or a lesser bar to demonstrate, I think is the thinking perhaps behind it. But what's interesting to me is in that adoption, it still requires some things like it can't be self-created, and it can't be a detriment to the surrounding neighborhood. So it didn't sort of completely open things wide open. There are still some findings effectively that an applicant still needs to show, and that the board would still need to find in order to grant that type of variance.
It sounds like it kind of opens a door that wasn't there before, though.
It does, and to be honest, it's been something that's kind of come and gone legislatively over the last several years. It kind of has never made it all the way. Many of our surrounding states have had a practical difficulty standard for a while.
Can you give an example of like a hypothetical case that would apply here? Or would be changed?
Yeah, so I think it all so any variance comes down to a specific scenario, right? That's why there is a mechanism for granting relief. It's something specific to a piece of property that doesn't occur in the rest of the surrounding similarly situated properties. So, this hasn't been, to my knowledge, this has not been tested in court yet. I suspect that it will most commonly be used very much for things like setback variances, lot coverage, some of those types of things. And so it's a little bit hard to give an example of that, because many variances that we see from staff's perspective do fit in the category of self-created, meaning if you're the current property owner, you may not have literally created the situation, but you bought a piece of property that already had certain constraints on the property, whether that was the previous owner or 10 previous owners ago. So it's interesting to me that has stayed as a standard. So I think it's yet to be seen, but I do think those will be the most common.
Thank you.
I can tell you as a former member of the Board of Adjustment that variances are very difficult to get because of, the criteria are so strict. And I actually think this is a good thing. I don't think it goes far enough, actually, but it's in state code. But there were a number of variances when I was on the board that requests for variances that we couldn't grant that I thought there wasn't really a great reason not to grant them other than that the ordinance just wouldn't allow for it. But
So with this change, the Board of Adjustment would have more leeway.
I think there would be one more avenue that they could pursue under this practical difficulty standard. But as Rose indicated, it's going to be math. It sounds like, but I recall there being setback variance requests that we couldn't grant that might be granted now, and so I think it does provide a tiny little bit more flexibility, just based on my brief experience doing that.
Thank you.
When you talk about the notification, excluding city right-of-way, is that saying that from the point on the map, 200 feet out in a circle, regardless of if there's a street there, is that basically just saying like it doesn't stop at the street, it goes past and
Right.
through?
So anything in that bubble, so to speak, if there are city streets in there, it jumps over those. So if there's a 60-foot right-of-way in part of that, it goes beyond that, so that we're making sure we're still notifying people. So it's not a hard line at the 200 feet. It will exclude that right-of-way and pick up people that maybe are on the other side or something like that.
So if you had a 60-foot right-of-way, technically if you were to draw a line out over that, it would be 260 feet?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
So it's not a perfect circle, it's kind of a weird.
No, it can get a little interesting on the map sometimes, especially with intersections of streets and all kinds of things.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, we are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, there's a motion to close this public hearing.
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. There are 4 items here.
Move approval, first reading of ordinance 2026-19.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move approval of first reading of ordinance 2026-20.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move approval of first reading of ordinance 2026-21.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote.
And move approval of first reading of ordinance 2026-22.
Yes.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Moving on to establishing new public hearings. Item 8.1 is to establish the public hearing for the lot change address for Lot 1 of Tuscany Village Center Plat 1. It sets the hearing for May 5.
Motion to approve resolution 144-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.2 is to establish a public hearing for the Merle Hay Road and Meredith Drive traffic signal replacement project for May 5, 2026.
Motion to approve resolution 143-2026.
By Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.3 is to establish a public hearing for the Walnut Creek Regional Park splash pad installation for May 19, 2026.
Motion to approve resolution 139-2026.
By Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.1 is to consider the Pepsi Ambient Storage Addition site plan at 3825 106th Street. Rose?
Okay. So this is a site plan request for Pepsi, as you noted. This is at several of the property or buildings that they operate at 106th and Douglas. So the red outline is looking at the actual parcel. We're actually talking about what I would call the northernmost building, I suppose. Their request is to make 2 additions to the north side of this parking, so facing the parking lot. One is to add an addition. It's about a 375 square foot cooler, which is this first one here on my cursor. And the second is to add a larger, just short of 1,500 square feet additional storage, also off the north side of that building. Generally, staff, along with Planning and Zoning Commission, recommended approval. You will notice a few notes about, like, for example, making sure that they're screening appropriately their dumpster enclosure and just doing some of the things that kind of have maybe a tendency to happen over time. But overall, very straightforward. Again, 2 small additions off the north side of the building there off of 106th Street. I'm happy to take any questions.
Just a curiosity, does this change kind of their production capacity or capabilities at the location, or is it mainly just to accommodate a bit more storage?
I can't answer that question, but I know we have also had some additional conversations maybe about some changes coming, so okay. That's all I can say.
Stay tuned, I hear. All right.
Anyone have a motion?
Move Council Letter 8562.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.2 is consider the Magnolia Heights Plat 9 final plat on 153rd Street and Bentwood Drive. Rose?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, got my projects out of order here. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so this is Plat 9, Magnolia Heights, for their final plat. This has obviously been a multi-phase project. This is for 35 lots. That's in the form of a sixplex and a couple a couple fourplexes kind of scattered. So, sorry if I zoom this up a little bit. So this is the connector that continues this phase to the east. You'll see 153rd, Walnut Meadows Drive, and Brentwood Drive, which is the actual subdivision street. This procedurally pretty straightforward. It's about 3¼ acres. Sorry, I had lost my note earlier. It's at 1 3-plex, 4 5-plexes, and 1 6-plex make it up. We do have a 35-foot setback requirement along Walnut Meadows Drive and 53rd. But the setback for the individual townhomes is actually 26 feet. Or no, I'm sorry. It's 25 feet from the back of curb because this is a private street, so we call it out from back of curb. The lots generally are 26 feet wide, 61 feet deep. and the distance between those individual buildings is required to be at least 10 feet or 20 feet, depending if they have more than 5 units. So again, continuation of an existing project. I do have one note here, which I would not have had, which is that at the present time, the CIP has 156th Street scheduled to be widened from Waterford Road to Meadow Drive in 2029. So just for general information, that is where that improvement lives in the CIP right now. Parkland dedication was part of the overall platting and development of the several phases of this project, so nothing additional at this time. Happy to take any questions.
All right. Any questions for Rose?
Rose, I'm always going to ask, just so you know, about connections to the school or any school that we're developing near. And so it looks like there's a sidewalk that runs behind these townhouses or the prior or the plat to the west. Is there a connection to that? Sidewalk? I'm just looking at the aerial that's in the.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. So is that a sidewalk?
Here, are you talking about here?
Well, no, I was actually talking about it on the north part.
Oh, on the north. Oh, through here. I see. I am not sure I can answer that. I would suspect not, because I would think, you know, we've got the connection here and up and around. I can get that answer for you, but I would doubt, if the question is, does it go anything punched directly through north?
Well, I just want to make sure there's safe pedestrian
Yes.
access to the school.
Yeah,
From these more affordable housing units that might likely have children in them.
Yeah, and there certainly will be, as you get out, at the very least 253rd and around, there will be just not anything I'm aware of directly going literally from interior of the development straight to the north onto the school property. So I think it would be coming this way or this way.
Because what I was curious about is right on the like, I don't know, this oval, it looked like a little bit to the right, move a little bit east there. There's like maybe a sidewalk that runs north-south.
I think you're correct. I think there is.
No.
Here, is this what you're talking about? I don't.
You're talking about
A lot, I mean, I don't, yeah, it's probably a lot line.
You want to
It's not
come
an
up and
actual
answer?
Yeah.
sidewalk.
We'll get the developer up here to answer.
Sorry,
David Albright, Paladin Properties, 3100 White Pine Court, Waukee, Iowa. In the original plat, or the previous plats that we've installed, we were required to put in a 5-foot sidewalk on 153rd Street. We also have 5-foot sidewalks on Walnut Meadows Drive, and there is a 10-foot pedestrian trail just north of Plat 9 that leads directly to the school. There is no direct connection between the townhomes and the school property. Does that make sense,
Is there
Bridget?
sidewalks within the townhouse development?
Correct.
There is?
Yes.
Okay.
So you could take a sidewalk all the way out to 153rd and get on the sidewalk that's there and take a sidewalk to the school.
Correct.
Okay.
Fantastic.
And all the sidewalks were installed on the public streets as part of the previous plats to get the kids to school before the school opened up. So that's already in place.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Move approval of Council Letter 8563.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Then item 9.3 is consider lots 2 and 3, the Square Days Run Plat 1 site plan at 4500 to 4590 128th Street. Rose, did you have anything further?
I have nothing further. Happy to answer any questions, or if you want me to pull the site plan back up.
I'm excited at the possibility of having a restaurant on that corner too.
Oh.
That's my only comment.
Might it have ice cream?
That is a motion to approve Council Letter 8565.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Further discussion? If not, please vote. That passes. Looking forward to having that developed out. So congratulations, guys. Thank you. Moving on to item 10, agenda items, regular agenda items. That's to consider 2026 Series A General Obligation Capital Loan Notes Bid Tab. And to introduce this is our Finance Director, Nikki Lamb. Nikki?
Mayor, members of the council, in light of time, I'm going to say, yes, we sold bonds today, and they were good. And I'm going to turn it right over to Travis Squires with Piper Sandler to walk through the results that we had today.
Welcome, Travis.
Thank you. All right, we'll move pretty quick. There's not a lot of stories to tell here, so just we'll walk through the financing process, look at the bid results, and then just some real quick updates on the financial profile. So in terms of the process, Nikki already hit this earlier, we are solving for a lower debt service levy rate. I also thought it was relevant to go back to 2019 and note that your debt service levy rate is actually 39% lower than it was in 2019. So some of the work that the council and city has done with the loss tax to lower that tax levy. We do not see that in a lot of communities. As you know, over the years, we've been paying off chunks of debt when you've accumulated either TIF funds or lost funds. And this year, $5,060,000 will come out of TIF to retire a bond issued in 2020, right? So you can see that very quickly, 5 years, 6 years after issuing the debt, you're making big chunks of paying down projects. So one of the things we also did this year within your CIP, we have 10-year debt for debt that's supported with your debt service levy. This year, your TIF projects or your urban renewal projects are paid off over 2 years. So basically a payment in this upcoming year's budget and then the next year's budget. So you're quickly almost to the point of just cash flowing those projects directly, which is significantly reducing the interest cost on your debt. So again, all of this stuff, planning and stuff that Nikki's been putting in place with us over the last few years. So you did the public hearings back in February, worked with, or maybe it was March. Allers and Cooney provided great service for you guys again with Disclosure Council work and their official statement review. Your bond rating with Moody's was affirmed at AA1. So one just quick comment here. We've been talking about your report speaking favorably of your position within the rating category. I think most of the discussion this time was more about how you're just slightly unfavorable to the AAA rating category right now. So on the very upper echelon of the AA1, just kind of missing that AAA right now, and I will have to stop public comments there because these are recorded, and if anybody wants to talk more offline about that, I will certainly entertain that conversation. Very close, and really, the people understand the metrics. They see the strength of the city of Urbandale. Whether or not you're a basis point or two off on that's a 0.01% off of a AAA on any given day. It's not something that's materially impacting your debt just because you're paying it off so quickly anyway. Official statement's been in the market over the past week. I did see a couple new bidders show up today. We did have 6 bids received, all by 11 a.m. Despite all the global headlines, market disruption, we did see a little bit over the weekend. It kind of recovered over the last 2 days, Really nice result here. You'll have a resolution kind of following this conversation. So quickly on the bid results, here's a listing of the 6 bids. TD Financial Products, which is I guess I'll say a subsidiary of TD Securities, is a new bidder and is the low bid here. A little bit different type of firm bidding on this. They're more of a algorithm trading company. So clearly seeing some new innovative financial products starting to show up. I think it's just what's going to happen from here on out. We'll probably have a different report next year of a similar new firm in the industry. In terms of the bid, something a little bit different this year. A lot of times your bonds, they've been paying you what we'll call more than face value or a premium on your bonds. Typically, given that you've been in the middle of accepting project budgets and not yet finalized on a lot of your project costs, you've accepted some of the bond premium, so you'll have a little bit more project cost available. This year we did size down at the recommendation of your staff. So instead of selling $8,040,000, you'll be $7,750,000 of debt. Overall, the other bids ranked 312 out to 331. Just a little bit of detail on their bids. You'll see a little bit different like rate and purchase price between the bids, but the ranking is by that true interest rate that's highlighted in the light blue. That's the average rate inclusive of their financing cost. So in terms of the financial profile, just to kind of reorient yourself quickly here, one thing you'll note here, this is your outstanding debt prior to the new issue. And the only point I'll make here is in this current year, in June, you'll pay off $8.7 million of debt, plus the amount you're prepaying at $5 million. So about $12 million, and only be issuing $7 million, a little bit over $7.7 million of new debt. You take the same approach on principal and interest, you'll be retiring $10.7 million of payments and only having $9 million of new payments. So pretty remarkable for a city growing like you are. Because of your commitment to using lost resources, you are keeping taxes off the books for the city. There's your final payment schedule breakout of debt. We have about $5 million coming from what I'll call debt service levy, $2 million for new Northwest Market projects, $850,000 for Duna projects, and then a small $250,000 for the Westover. So again, finalizing, meeting your CIP needs for the year. Again, breakout on the schedules showing those TIF retirements. It's a lot of blank numbers because it's 2-year payoffs on this debt. You know, on the Northwest Market, $1,060,000 for this year, $1 million next year, and that project's paid off. With the CIP, about $1 million paid off in year 1, and then about $425,000 over the next 9 years. And again, as we kind of look to the far right here, you can see your levy rate, natural reduction kind of built in going into next year, but you'll have a new CIP. So all has been built out right now to kind of hover at that 134 range, absent what I'll say kind of an outsized inflow of putting more lost money towards the CIP than just kind of where you're at this year. So as we look at this, you know, market interest rates were actually lower. We looked at this, 310 this year is about 370 last year. Comparable to market financings, just really, you guys sell well in the market. So we're gonna recommend acceptance of the bid from TD Financial Products. And I'll kind of see, Nikki, did I miss anything? All right, David, did I miss anything? And don't ask me to comment on property tax reform because I don't have anything to add there, except in terms of advocacy, I do think there's going to be some movement tomorrow in terms of caucus. So I think that's been widely communicated. So if you guys, you know, get in touch with your local legislature and, you know, be ready to, what's that?
Are you done?
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I got. So get ready to fight the next fight. Maybe we don't go down swinging too hard this time, and we get ready to get your CPI adjustment in next year's bill. All right, so any other questions from the council?
Yeah, I was just wondering what you know about the TD Financial Products LLC, if it's something that's kind of an outlier company, just what level of confidence do we have?
Yeah, we have pretty good deal of confidence in them. They're kind of just a spin-off of their broker-dealer, TD Securities. So they just established an algorithm-based trading arm of that, and they established that a little over a year ago. So yeah, we feel pretty confident that they will perform. They did perform on a good faith wire, and a lot of the contacts we have there are the same ones that we would have had at the kind of former TD Ameritrade group. So similar contacts, they just kind of reorganized under a different name. Sorry if I caused a moment of panic there with a new firm, but yeah, we
Thank you.
Could you explain what an algorithm trader is? Like, I don't understand anything about finance.
So algorithm is just simply
I mean, I get, the Instagram algorithm. That's it.
It's similar, right? So as they see market movement and bond prices change, they will have systems or code built into when I make a buy or sell on that. So as opposed to somebody sitting in there and picking up the phone and saying, I like that bond, don't like that bond, most of their stuff that's going on kind of the back end and the balance sheet is all based on algorithms, as opposed to having a fully staffed trading desk. By and large, a lot of the stuff is moving that direction, just within more of kind of a platform. This was just a new, unique kind of thing that I thought, well, I'll mention this because this is new, and they have not, they won a lot under TD Securities, so it's just whether we see that. And really, we're probably not going to see it on communities smaller than, 50,000, but larger communities, we're going to see these type of firms bidding more often.
So are we good for the algo?
You must be, because they won at 309, right? So, yeah, correct.
As long as they give us a low interest rate and they buy it, that's all we care.
Yes.
But I appreciate Pat's question, because that kind of raised a little bit. But I fully trust the two of you and your teams to do the right thing. You too, David.
Very good.
Further questions? If not, is there a motion?
Move Council Letter 8476.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
Yeah.
Yep, you got it. Thanks, Travis.
That passes. All right. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Travis. That's good work, and appreciate it. All right, moving on then to our special topics, information and discussion. That's to consider the 2026-27 strategic plan process overview. And to set us on this course is our Assistant City Manager, Curtis Brown. Curtis?
Great. Thank you, Mayor and council members. Sunset is at 8:01 tonight, and I do not want you to see it from where you're sitting. So we will keep on going. There are 4 steps to our strategic planning process for the next 18 months. The first we did earlier in March, looking at our values, vision, and mission, and reviewed the status of the current plan. Tonight, we will give you department projects and overall context. I'll explain that a little bit more. And then we're looking at 2 upcoming dates. May 5 is when we go through the ideas that you all will generate based on our mission. And then after that, staff will have an opportunity to review and comment on that idea and idea generation to inform what happens on June 16 when you all select your top priority in each of the 3 areas. So let me explain. On March 3rd, we affirmed our mission, vision, and values. The mission to foster a safe and inclusive Urbandale through outstanding municipal services, fiscal responsibility, and dedicated focus on community members. That will be important because that is the bedrock for our strategic planning. The vision of a safe and regionally connected community where diversity is valued, opportunities are abundant, and all can thrive with our values of sustainability, quality of life, safety, inclusive community, collaboration, and accountability. And also on March 3rd, we looked at all of the progress on our 24 and 25 strategic plan, the vast majority of which was accomplished, and some of the items still carrying forward in the work, which you'll see in the department responses. Okay, what are these department responses you've been hearing about? Well, tonight, before you leave, Nicole will pass you a blue folder that has within it 14 one-page reports, only 14 pages, one-page reports on each department across the city. And those one pages are broken into 3 sections for each department. First is priority projects. Those priority projects are in addition to the core work of the department. So take the police department, for example. Police is going to be out on patrol, criminal investigation, doing all the work that the police department does. But priority projects for this year are all above the line. So this year, for example, the police department has to be engaged in planning for the UPD headquarters project. So priority projects are in addition to the core work. They must have, they're targeted for this calendar year, and they must be done. So these are projects that must have the department's attention. They're not really, at this point, optional. The second section is forward movement. So forward movement projects are in addition to the core work and in addition to the priority projects, and these are projects that are focused on continuous process improvement. They raise the standards for customer service and performance. So that's the next level that you'll see on the one-page report for each department. And then looking ahead gives you the context for future work, and these are items that the departments are already preparing to address in 2027. The good news is you're all getting a copy of this slide deck, both in hard copy and digitally later on. So just so you know that you don't have to memorize all this right now. And so to prepare for our first session on May 5th, there is some pre-work to do. The first will be to read those department reports. We've gone through a great process, actually. David and I and Annika have met with all 14 department directors and reviewed everything that was submitted, and then make sure it could be condensed into one page for each department, because we really do hope that you'll read and digest all of those. What it will do is give you a good sense of what is happening in the organization right now, what the departments are focusing on, and we do think, after meeting with them all, you will see a lot of your mission, vision, and values coming through in what the departments are doing, getting better at, and preparing for next year. We'd also ask that as you read the department reports and then to prepare your ideas, to keep the context in mind of where we're at. And we looked at this in early March. Our organization is, in fact, deeper. We're delivering more of our previous service. We do have more population. We have more participants in our programs. We are delivering better service. An example of that would be, we've always done building permits and taken applications, but we got better at it by moving that to the CitizenServe electronic platform. The organization is wider. We're actually delivering new services, for example, like the mobile rec electric vehicle that goes out to different parks. So we're delivering new services, and it's literally wider with more people and more territory as we expand out west. The staff, as you're seeing tonight through the reports, we are responsible stewards delivering value. As Nikki pointed out, personnel as a percentage of our budget and our tax rate is among the lowest in the metro. Our competitive tax rate has been reduced for a second year in a row, and we've got, thankfully, high resident satisfaction. Our staff members are oriented to service. We do want to do a great job for the public. We do embrace continuous improvement. You'll see that in the forward movement sections of the department reports. And we have a desire to deliver on expectations, and that is your expectations as an elected body and the community's expectations, as well as all of our internal staff colleagues. We don't want to let you or anyone down. So we're working hard in the context of local government fiscal pressures that limit our potential growth, while at the same time, resident and business expectations do remain high. That is not moderating at all in terms of we all want low taxes but amazing trails and parks. And so that's local government since the beginning of time, I think. So what are the next steps in the process? Well, as I mentioned, we're going to anchor all of this in the city's mission. that fostering a safe and inclusive Urbandale through these three things: the delivery of outstanding municipal services, fiscal responsibility, and then the dedicated focus on community members. What you will be asked to do is, looking at each of those areas, surface your ideas for what actions we can take in each of these areas. We really do want to know what is on your mind. After reading all the department reports, what are the next things you really want this organization to focus on in these areas? The great news is we're not going back and revising our mission, vision, and values. We are moving forward, and we've done a lot of work in our previous strategic plan. But now what we need to hear from you, so we stay on track and in sync policy-wise, is what you have in mind. So for example, you will be asked, what actions can we take to deliver outstanding municipal services? And we should consider these criteria: that it's actually in our power to accomplish, it's financially feasible, we can make significant progress by the end of 2027, because we are looking at this, these goals need to be time-bound. And significant progress is important. It doesn't mean that the next task or priority to look at has to be complete by the end of 2027. And keep that in mind, because there is one typo, darn it, in my template for you. Significant progress, not completion, is the goal by the end of 2027. And it would make a significant positive impact. So it might seem like a tall order. What are you supposed to say? What actions can we take to deliver outstanding municipal services? So to prime the pump, a possible response might be something like, residents are aware of projects and policies that impact their neighborhoods. Or the city prioritizes purchases of environmentally responsible products where possible. In the next category, what actions can we take to be fiscally responsible? Perhaps an average resident can understand the basics of the city budget and property tax, or ensure Urbandale's state legislative delegation and other key legislators understand the impact of state legislation on Urbandale. In the focus on community members, possible responses might be increase the number of households who receive the monthly newsletter, or identify ways to ensure members of the public feel welcome at council meetings and can participate. The idea is to stay high level so that staff can work internally to provide the tactics and strategies to get your priorities done. And so thinking higher level, instead of, say, purchase the Acme building in downtown Urbandale, it could be develop a policy to guide downtown property investment and resale, or increase property tax incentives for affordable housing development might be develop a policy for incenting affordable housing investment, which is something we do want to do. Another example, ensure paper products are toxin-free recycled paper, could be incorporate environmental considerations in the city's purchasing policy. So as you work on this, our request would be think high level, think policy level, and then staff will work with you, because we want you to be successful with these policy visions. We'll bring the strategy together to move those items forward. And after all, everything we do ultimately has, most things come to the council table either through a budget or something like the many items that we already considered tonight. So to recap, next steps in the process, to read the department reports, you'll get the folder with this slide deck, a template, and the department reports in it. I'll also send those later on electronically, so you have those. Second is to develop 2 to 3 responses in each of those areas of the mission. Turn them in a week from tomorrow. I know, but hopefully the 14 pages in 12-point Arial font won't be too overwhelming. That's the hope. And then turning in your thoughts on the 2 to 3 responses in each of those areas by next Wednesday, April 29th, because then we need to get ready for May 5th. We'll review those at the first session on May 5. Then staff will be able to respond to all those responses before June 16th so that you have context from within the staff side of the organization to, on June 16th, prioritize your top 1 or 2 actions in each area. That is slide 16 of 16. I will stop talking. I can appreciate that there's part of this is art and science. So we do sincerely appreciate you entrusting us with this process. I hope the information that we pass along, especially the template for preparing the responses in the mission areas, can be helpful. But with that, are there any questions?
On number 6 there, 1 or 2 actions in each area.
Mm-hmm.
Does that go back to the mission statement, those 3
Yep,
areas?
those 3 areas, exactly right. So that each of those 3 areas, really we want to surface out of everything that's been presented, because we
Out
do
of the
have
14 different sheets.
on the 14 different sheets you'll see, those are to provide context for you on what's happening in the department. You will be asked to write down 2 or 3 items that, from your perspective, individually, then shared collectively, that you would like to see us move on. So then when we share all of those on June 16, you say, out of everything that's been generated, with us as an elected official body, these are the, let's say, something like 3 to 6 top priorities that we want to see move forward in the next year and a half. Thank you for nodding and trusting. We'll do our best to make this a good process for you. Are there any other questions?
You're going to send this to us?
Yep. Nicole
give
will
hard
actually
copies.
pass those around right now, and then later
Yeah,
on
no
tonight.
excuses.
Later on tonight, you'll receive an email from me as well. Anything else I can clarify?
And you'll be stopping at our houses to pick these up.
That's right. You can submit them electronically, you can drop them by, and yes, we will make house calls happily.
They will hunt us down.
There you go. Absolutely right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Curtis.
Certainly.
All right, city manager's report, David.
Yeah, just real briefly, I just want to echo some of the comments that were made earlier, about our bond rating. I think our results were very good. I think the budget results were incredible. I want to thank the staff for working this is my first kind of start to finish budget. I think I had 9 days last year to make my influence on the budget, but it's been a great process. I have nicknamed Nikki AAA, notwithstanding what Moody's said. But when you're literally a scintilla away from something, I think we should be rounding up and not rounding down. But I haven't shared that thought with Moody's, but I might be in the near future. But great results. We're in very good shape. And I have sent out a little bit of information on property taxes, and we'll keep council informed. I think the next 2 weeks will be very important. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
David, I have been darting all afternoon, so but I did get a chance to see Scott Sanders in passing, and he said that the House poked the Senate in the eye. Or were you going to talk about it?
I'll talk about it in my talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just hoping for a little more.
Yeah, I can give you more flavor when I talk.
Okay.
Blake? Sorry, did you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Uh, quick thanks to Silt and UCAN for the Lunch and Learn last week. It was very informative. Congratulations to Bruce on the Iowa Volunteer Hall of Fame. I don't think I'll be able to make it, but very well deserved.
Yep.
And then just wishing the legislature a positive conclusion with hopefully good results for everybody involved. So that's it.
Bridget?
I spent the entire afternoon at Des Moines City Hall doing DART business. I anticipate the announcement of a new CEO publicly by the end of next week. So, or maybe sooner, I don't know. But we have decided on someone, and I'm being vague, but probably saying too much. The other thing I wanted to say about DART, and I don't know how all of your Outlook email comes into you, but mine like comes in as email from real people and then like an other file. And if you look in your other category, late this afternoon, you should have gotten an invitation from DART for an exclusive preview of the new Route 4, which is what runs through Urbandale. And it's a joint tour offered by DART, Polk County Housing Trust Fund, MPO, and Capital Crossroads. Is going to be on Friday, May 29th, and there's 2 tours leaving DART Central Station at 9 and then again at 9:30. And Mayor Bozen is going to be speaking at a stop in Highland Park, and yours truly will be speaking here at the Urbandale Library. But we're going to profile this very important crosstown route as part of our Reimagine process. So it's a big commitment of your morning, but I think it's going to be really worth your time to see the great changes with a focus on affordable housing and jobs. And
When is that, Bridget?
Friday, May 29th.
And are we supposed to? You have to RSVP.
Are we
There's
supposed to
an
be at the
RSVP button. So there's a tour. I think there's going to be light breakfast at DART Central starting at 8:30, but there's a bus leaving at 9 and then a bus leaving at 9:30. And it will take you, I mean, it will go from east to west. You know, this is our, Route 4 is our crosstown. It's going to hit a lot of affordable housing projects, a lot of jobs, a lot of services, and so we're really excited to work with the Polk County Housing Trust Fund and other organizations to really highlight our new service. So I had known this was happening, and then I saw that it went to the other folder, so I wanted to bring your attention to the fact that it was there, and I hope that you can join, but obviously I'll always be talking about it, so if you miss it, you miss it. But I think it'll be really interesting because it'll go, you know, Des Moines, Urbandale, West Des Moines, Windsor Heights, Clive. It'll really hit a lot of communities and the importance of what we're doing. So I'm excited about that. And I'm really proud of us for the budget work and the bond work, and we couldn't do it without the staff. So you guys get really all the credit, but I'm proud of being able to be on this council from 2020 to see what I remember sitting here thinking that Nikki and HA were crazy about paying off these bonds, but here we are. It's a pretty good idea.
Yep.
So that's it.
All right, thank you, Bridget. Pat?
Just a couple of things. I think I've mentioned it before, but a reminder, June 10th is the iconic Riverfest, and their backup date is June 11th. So we might want to be participating in that. And then there is going to be a tour. It was originally supposed to be like this past week, but the water levels have not been cooperating. So there will eventually be a tour of the existing downtown sites. And I will get an invitation of some kind and forward that to you from ICON, and I would encourage at least 1 or 2 other people to join me on that when that comes. And then I've been involved with staff. Thank you for letting me be engaged around it. The Walnut Creek Watershed Management Authority, the folks there through Polk County have been doing a floodplain restoration assessment, if you will, recommendations, and there will be a final report that they're giving to staff on Friday. I think it's at 11 a.m. And they've done a really nice job with this report, and staff's given them a lot of good feedback. I gave them some too. And we'll see what happens with all of that. But I think there'll be some nice projects in there for us to look at.
All right, thanks, Pat. Amy?
I'm good.
Okay. Bill?
The only thing I have to report is I attended the HSA board meeting on April 8th, and most of that meeting was taken up by presentation by Greater Des Moines Supportive Housing, which in part involves a proposed project here in Urbandale. I'm not going to say too much more about it because I know we're going to have a public hearing, but it was a very active board meeting. There were a lot of questions asked and answered, and I think it's fair to say that the board has some enthusiasm for what's being proposed. I also know there's opposition, so I'll leave it at that and look forward to hearing the views in public hearing.
All right, thanks, Joe. A couple things. I have Catch Des Moines tomorrow morning, their board meeting, the regular board meeting. I'm also going to be serving on their budget committee this year too, to go over budget for this year. But Catch Des Moines, there's a lot of exciting things coming to Des Moines yet this year, so they're doing a great job to promote our area, and that really pays off for us. So as far as the property tax, I just thought I'd give a little more detail. I want to thank David and Annika and Curtis also for really digging into this and following this through Metro Coalition. But where we are right now essentially is the House is taking up the Senate version of the bill, and they had a subcommittee on that on Monday to run it through. They had a public hearing this morning, which was essentially to bash on the Senate version of the bill, essentially. Then they ran the Senate version out of committee just after that, early this afternoon. And it's set for floor debate for tomorrow. So the expectation is that technically the Senate bill will be the one considered, but there'll probably be some essentially an amendment, strike after amendment, that will essentially gut what the Senate version is and put what the House ideal version is in its place. And so stay tuned, but I think that seems to be at least, that's just the next step in this whole process. Is if the House has to do something at this point to move it, it'll probably go to a conference committee after that, and hopefully sooner than later there is some resolution. David did write an email to our legislators highlighting some of the pitfalls and where the important issues as far as the soft caps on 2% versus hard caps. What else did we? TIF, yeah.
Valuation for TIF, revenue diversification.
The public hearing today focused mainly on developers that we're talking about the multi-residential elimination of that. So, that could be if there's a compromise, I can maybe see a compromise between the House and the Senate. I think the House side tends to grab onto that multi-residential.
What do you mean by that?
Well, so right now the multi-residential, apartments essentially are assessed at the same, they get the same rollback as residential property right now, right? So, so that would go away under the Senate proposal. If there is some compromise on that, then, maybe there's a give on the hard 2% cap or something like that the Senate really wants. So, there's going to be some give and take on what the House thinks is important versus what the Senate thinks is important versus, truly then, whatever the governor thinks is important too. So everybody's speculating right now, but just stay tuned. There's going to be, watch the floor debate tomorrow in the House. That'll probably give you a good idea maybe as far as what's going to happen from the House side at least. And then it'll, however long it takes for them to come to a resolution, or maybe who knows? Some people even think there's still not going to be a resolution. I think they've painted themselves in a corner. They have to get something done. Somebody's going to have to give on some things, and so they can get out of there. So
Bob, if they do this strike through, basically you're back to
Whatever they want to write.
Whatever the House wants to write.
The House is debating whatever it wants, and the Senate gets it back and still has what it sent over to the House, right?
Well, then if the House passes an amended version of it, then they would send their bill back to the Senate, and the Senate would either have to concur or to insist on its own, and then if they insist on its own, then it goes to a conference committee. And so then they have 3 or 4 legislators from each House going to a conference committee to try to hash it out. So, yeah, pretty much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You haven't heard anything about the 600,000 being appropriation amendment for water quality monitoring, have you?
No, but I haven't gotten that granular on things, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, it's not that, yeah, it's granular, I
Well,
guess.
no, I'm just saying, I've been
Yes, it
kind
is
of just looking
granular.
at the big picture on some other things.
I know. That's really frustrating.
Appropriations process,
It's an appropriations, it probably should be an appropriations amendment because the money's sitting there either through the Water Quality Initiative or the Groundwater Protection Fund, which has $23.5 million in it. And they can't take $600,000 and give it to the University of Iowa IIHR to keep their water quality monitoring system going.
Okay.
So you're right, it's granular, but dang it, it's just so fundamental, you know, to
I haven't heard
kind of
that.
protect water. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great, thanks.
All right. So that's where we are. Stay tuned. You're going to be hearing stuff in the next couple days. Everybody has a different opinion on when they're going to get out of there too. So it's either this week or maybe next week, or as late as sometime in the middle of May. So we'll see. But hopefully, as Blake said, maybe they get out of there sooner than later. So. All right, everyone. We'll get out of here before sundown. Thank you.
Congratulations,
Sure,
Bob.
Thank you.